More Americans than ever are buying medications online due to lower cost and convenience, but they don't realize the risks. Research from National Association of Boards of Pharmacy shows that 95% of around 35,000 online pharmacies operate illegally, peddling fake drugs that can be laced with deadly substances. Many of these websites sell medicines without a prescription and operate without a license.
You're looking at the American public potentially ingesting harmful chemicals into their bodies with unknown significant long-term effects. So that's why it's a major threat.
The realm of medicine is where science has the greatest impact at improving our day-to-day lives. When I learned that every day there were thousands of medications coming into people's homes that were counterfeit, where they were making the best possible scientific decision and yet they were still being hurt, I had to learn more and figure out where these drugs were coming from and what we could do about it. My name is Avisha Nasaver, and today I'm going to speak with Rick Roberts, a professor at the University of San Francisco and a member of the Partnership for Safe Medicines Advisory Board. Rick became interested in the issue of medical safety after he received counterfeit versions of an AIDS medication that he was taking back in 2000. This was one of the first medications that was part of a recall because of counterfeit medicine issues. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today. I hear that you have a story in the counterfeit medication space that could impact so many people who might hear it. So if you don't mind just telling us a bit about what you had to go through.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I was prescribed a medication for AIDS wasting syndrome. It's injected, and I had been on it for a few months. But all of a sudden, I was injecting it like I had always done, but this time there was a stinging. I went to pick up my next month's supply and asked for the pharmacist. And the pharmacist just simply said, "You may have gotten some of the fake stuff. You should go home and check." And that was the beginning of a nightmare. My mind went to some dark places about what could happen.
Oh, that sounds like such a trial to have gone through. So I understand that your personal case was one of the very first to receive significant amounts of media attention. So could you walk us through a little bit about how that may have affected you and what the trickle-down effects may have been?
It was difficult. I know other people who got the same counterfeit, but didn't really want to talk about their medical issues in public. I think that's one of the things that keeps us from really hearing about the scope of this problem, is that it requires people to share their medical information or history and what happened to them. And I just thought it was really important.
After speaking with Rick, I wanted to know more about where these medications are coming from and how they enter the US. I've been invited to the Pfizer Research and Development site to meet specialized members of their team who work with counterfeit medications. I'm going to get to see their high-tech equipment, work with their lead scientist, and figure out the process they go through to identify this counterfeit medication. So who is purchasing these medications and where are they purchasing them from?
My biggest fear is that people who are purchasing counterfeit medicines are those people that don't at all understand that they exist. Oftentimes they're purchasing from illicit websites online. Just going to ask you to do a quick search of any medicine.
All right, so any medication that we're looking for online. Let's see.
And then as you begin to scroll down, what you find are different websites that are offering the medicine for sale. As you click on one of those, what you'll find is a website that could be unregulated, offering a heavily discounted price, potentially not requiring a prescription for a prescription medication, or offering to refill your medicines for free if they were to get seized by customs, or even websites that won't return anything to you at all. They're simply a scam.
I'm not seeing any manufacturers or even pharmacies that I recognize here. So I'm going to click on one of these websites and let's see what we get. So I'm seeing a medication that's on sale from over $12,000 to a little over $500. Is that right there a red flag?
When you go to a website like this that has deeply discounted prices, but then also has other potential indicators of risk that are combined. Also in the United States, what we see are websites purport to be Canadian because there is a belief that these medicines can be obtained from Canada more cheaply and that Canada is a safe country from which to buy medicines. But as you can tell, this is a very professional looking website. Lots of images here of people in lab coats, medical equipment, labs. It definitely would give someone who didn't suspect that counterfeit medicines were so prevalent a very comforting feeling about purchasing this medicine.
Got it. So the fact that I see a lab coat does not in itself mean that it's a legitimate drug.
Right.
So what we're seeing in the law enforcement environment is counterfeit medicines are entering into the United States via the mail. When we do receive an illicit medication, Customs and Border Protection has the ability to test the medicine. Furthermore, we can also reach out to the pharmaceutical industry, and they're very good at testing the medicines and responding whether this is an illicit medicine, what are the active ingredients, and looking at all the things that are in this medicine so we can start linking seizures together.
What are scientists at Pfizer doing to help investigate the counterfeit medication issue?
We have a team of scientists here in Groton and also in the UK. They're chemists who are dedicated to analyzing suspect medicines that law enforcement or customs officials provide us. Some of these counterfeit medicines are so well packaged that even the experts have difficulty telling, just by looking at the package, whether the medicine inside is real or fake. We go through a series of analytical processes to analyze what is contained, whether it has any active pharmaceutical ingredient in it, and how much, and whether or not it has any harmful products potentially in it.
So this is where we keep our evidence. We have to keep it locked up because we have to maintain that chain of custody. So it looks like here that we've received a potential counterfeit. This is claiming to be a cancer medication. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take some photographs of the packaging.
Are you feeling confident about this one?
Well, we'll have to find out.
All right, let's do it.
Counterfeiters, they don't care if the product that they're making works, and they don't care if it's safe. What they care about is that it looks good enough to trick you to think that it's a real drug. Sometimes on the counterfeit bottles, it claims to have a certain artwork, so we can compare it against what it claims to have as the authentic artwork. All right, so we're finished taking our photos. I'm gonna pack this up, and then we can move to the videometer, which will help us kind of dive deeper into that packaging analysis. So our videometer is a multispectral imaging device. It will go through 19 different wavelengths from the UV, visible, and near IR.
This is not a fancy Death Star. So right now what I'm seeing is different grayscale images, but these each represent a different wavelength of light that has been blasted at this bottle.
Exactly. We'll be able to match and compare to previous counterfeits that have come into our lab. All right, we've taken our photographs. We've done our packaging analysis, so now it's time to start our chemical analysis.
All right, so which machine is next?
The next would be our Orbitrap. So we've opened a bunch of capsules and we've poured out the contents, and this is what we found inside. This is what we'll chemically analyze. Some of the things that we see include way too much active ingredient, upwards of 300% of what they claim to have. We've had no active ingredient. We've seen printer inks being used to make bright, vibrant tablet colors, or floor wax to make it that shiny coating.
All right, so what are we looking at here?
So now our sample has been separated into those individual components, and we're looking at the different masses of the UV profile, and using the data together, we'll be able to identify what those compounds might be.
So based on all the tests we've done here today, is this medication real or counterfeit?
So we've looked at the photographs, we've done physical testing, we've looked at that packaging and the physical and chemical analysis. We have a counterfeit drug.
After speaking with Rick about his experiences 20 years ago, and then with Tori and Lev about everything they're doing now to help combat counterfeit medications, I've realized that there is a large infrastructure in place to help deal with this issue, but they can't do what they are doing alone.
The most important aspect of this is consumer awareness, consumer education, and reducing the demand. I don't think we can seize or investigate our way through this problem. It's going to happen when the American public becomes better educated and decides that the risk is not worth it.